Hey, babe, what you got there?
This is a check from Carvana. I just sold my car to them. I went online and Carvana gave me an offer right away. Then they just picked up the car and gave me this.
Oh, that's a big check. Well, obviously you could put this towards your next car, or we could finally get that jacuzzi, or I could start taking tuba lessons, or I could quit my job and write my memoir.
Or I can put it towards my next car with Carvana.
Sorry, your check, not mine.
Sell your car to Carvana. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get a real offer in seconds.
This is Beer in Front, part of the OddPods Media Network. Every week I'll talk about a beer that maybe we've forgotten along the way while we get those check-ins and badges. Some weeks I'll talk about a new beer that has potential to be a classic. Being the Chicago beer guy, I'll also talk about great craft beer and craft beer news in the city of Chicago. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. It's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 160 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a proud member of the OddPods Media Network. This episode is coming out on May 17th, so happy anniversary to my beautiful wife, Ruby. I'm not sure what Emily Post has to say, but I think the 4th anniversary gift is podcast equipment and beer. On the show today, I'll be talking to Doug Wise. He's the director of Beverage at Bottleneck Management. Bottleneck operates the Old Town Poorhouse, and we'll chat about a new beer school happening at the Poorhouse starting next week. The beer I'll be having this week is the newest gold medal winner of the American-style lager category at the World Beer Cup. This is Bruski from Noon Whistle in Lombard, Illinois. As my friends at Fuck It, I'm 40 like to say, don't be a dick. The craft beer conference was held last week in Nashville, and there were, again, reports of people who look like me not making everyone that doesn't look like me feel welcome. Beer, and frankly, every industry should be for everyone. The more people that feel welcome will enjoy your product and buy it. I'm not an Ivy League graduate. I'm a Chicago public high school clown, but you jagoffs that refuse to embrace everyone, explain this to me like I'm 5. How is alienating women, people of color, members of the LGBTQ plus communities, and deliberately pissing people off, how is that good for business? Everyone I've ever met in beer has been cool, but now I start to wonder how much of that is because I'm just a straight white guy with a beard. In beer news this week, I mentioned a few weeks ago that Guinness is going to close one of their production facilities in Baltimore. Now, I was reading an article over on Brewbound. There's an official in Baltimore that wants to invest $500,000 so a local brewer can keep brewing the Baltimore Blonde from Guinness. So there's a few places that are thinking about doing it, and I guess it's up to Guinness if they want to give up the recipe, and I'm sure there's going to be money exchange, but there's an official that wants to drop $500,000 to keep Baltimore Blonde on tap in the city of Baltimore. Goose Island opened their doors 35 years ago last week, and they're having a month-long celebration at their Clybourne location, so you could head over to Goose Island's website to find out more details. The World Beer Cup was last week, and there were 7 medalists from the great state of Illinois. Also last week, winners of the Crushy Awards were handed out. I had Jim McCune on. We talked about the awards. I was a voting member again this year. I voted on the best of beer cans. That was hard. There is a lot of great work over there. I'm going to include the link in the show notes so you could check out the winners of this year's Crushy Awards. Last week, Beer Advocate put something out over on Instagram, and I'm not sure if this is bullshit or whatever, but allegedly Purdue, the chicken company Purdue, is going to come out with a beer can chicken beer that's going to have some spices in it. And according to this Instagram post, there's supposed to be a press embargo until the 17th. So this show's coming out on the 17th. So look for that. Like I said, I don't know if this is bullshit or not, but Purdue chicken and a beer and beer can chicken. I'm a big fan of beer can chicken. I don't know if I want a beer with spices in it, but look for that. Finally, in Canada, I'm going to tell you a story about Ferguson Jenkins. Ferguson Jenkins was my favorite Cub player growing up. Fergie Jenkins was the man, great pitcher. I was a kid, a young pup, a teenager, out in the bleachers. I was out with my buddy Sean. We were out front row of the bleachers. We'd get there early. Actually, I remember that day I got a batting practice home run off the bat of the great Keith Moreland, and I got a couple autographs on it. Ferguson Jenkins was one. I got Leon Durham's autograph on that baseball and Bump Wills. So I still have that baseball with all three. But Fergie Jenkins, and I'm just a young, impressionable teenager. I'm like, Fergie, when are you pitching that? I'm trying to make small talk. I have no game, but I'm just a young pup. And I'm like, Fergie, when are you pitching next? Fergie looks up to me. Young man, you ought to read the papers. And signed my baseball, and that was good. But Ferguson Jenkins, he has a new beer coming out from the Sons of Kent. This is only going to be available in Canada. The beer can looks phenomenal. This is a classic Pilsner. I've already reached out to Rob from the Internet Talks Beer to see if he could get this in Canada. But if you're a Canadian listener and you find this, get a hold of me. I'll definitely pay you to get a couple cans of the Ferguson Jenkins beer my way. Budweiser's coming out with a new limited edition can featuring Harley Davidson motorcycles. This one looks really cool, so we'll see if the anti-woke people will buy this one. Finally, locally here, I mentioned a few weeks ago that there's a Brewer's Triangle. This includes Maplewood, Metropolitan, and Ravinia. They're having a block party this Saturday, May 20th, and they're also having a special joint beer from the three breweries. It's called Brewer's Triangle. It's a dry hopped Helles, so definitely, if you're in the Chicago area, check out the Brewer's Triangle block party this Saturday. Okay, the Old Town Poorhouse is located at 1419 North Wells Street in Chicago. It's ranked as the top beer bar in Chicago and one of the best in the country. They have over 140 tap handles featuring 90 different beers, local craft beer as well as cider and non-alcoholic beer for those who want something different. It's not just a beer spot. They have a full liquor bar and food menu that is second to none. Joining the show is Doug Wise. He's the director of Beverage at Bottleneck Management. Bottleneck operates the Old Town Poorhouse, amongst others, and today we're going to talk about a cool new series of beer classes they have coming up starting next week. Doug, thanks for chatting today. How's everything going?
Things are going great. Thanks for having me.
The Brew U Beer School kicks off next Wednesday, May 24th, and features some great local Chicago breweries as well as national ones. How did this come about?
Well, we've been trying to think of in-person events that could cater to our audience, and knowing how much knowledge we have to share about beer and the the breadth of beer that we have on tap, we figured this would be a fun and inexpensive night out for beer enthusiasts.
You mentioned inexpensive. You can't beat the price on this.
That is correct. I believe we set the price at 1 penny because I think we have to charge for an event where we're giving out some free beer.
All right.
But I think if you go through Eventbrite, it ends up to around $2.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good deal for what you're going to get at our beer school.
Yeah, normally I work Wednesday evenings, but I'm off the week of May 30th for my birthday. So I already bought tickets for May 31st, so I'll be seeing you at that one.
Happy to have you. It should be a good night. That's our beer styles and characteristics class. So going to be going through a variety of styles and talking about BJCP and whether breweries care about that or not. And it should be a fun night.
Now, what are some of the other classes that you have?
So the first week is tasting and evaluating beer. So when we were putting this together, something I was really thinking about was how each class could build on the last class. So, of course, there'll probably be a lot of guests who come just to one night or 2 nights. But if you were to attend every night, we wanted this to be progressive. So we start out tasting and evaluating, just thinking about beer as you're drinking it, appearance, aroma, taste, mouthfeel. Second class, we're talking about styles. That's kind of the next thing you might dive into when you're thinking about the beer you're drinking. Then the third class, we're talking about some world and U.S. regional styles, as well as the brewing process. So that'll be a great class. I believe we have Half Acre coming in to talk about that. And then the final class, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about hops and also beer and food pairing. So that'll be an especially fun one. We've got 2 beer and food pairings for each guest to try that night.
Yeah, all look good. I don't know. I'm going to have to see if I could weasel another Wednesday off to head to another one of those. The tap list that you have has something for everyone, going over everything you have on tap. There's no way I could list it all here. How challenging is it for you to make sure that you have something for everyone's palate?
When you have 90 beers on draft, or we have 90 plus beers on draft, it's not that challenging.
Yeah.
We live in a time where craft beer is in abundance all over the country and especially in Chicagoland. And so, of course, balance in styles and flavors is crucial to a great beer list. But the brewers in Chicagoland are making things easy on us. And, you're right. We do have, everything from lagers to stouts and IPAs and beers with adjuncts and classic German styles and really anything you'd be looking for.
How many of your tap handles are like local ones from Illinois?
So at any of our locations including Old Town Poorhouse Chicago, we have over 30 tap handles dedicated to local beer. I believe there's even more at Old Town Poorhouse Chicago. There's likely 40 to 45 if I'm ballparking. If you asked me to list every beer on tap, I might be able to do it, but it would take a long time. So
yeah, the show's not that long. It'd be like a 4-hour part 2 mini series to list everything that you have.
If you want me to put your listeners to sleep, we could do that later.
I'm not sure who the social media person is, but every week they put out a picture of this French toast, and I'm like, oh, I need this. So it's not just beer. You also have great food. What kind of stuff can people expect when they go to eat at Old Town?
Yeah, so our food is classic American food with some chef-driven twists. The French toast you mentioned is stuffed with Nutella. We have a loaded baked potato flatbread, an ahi tuna BLT, or my brunch favorite. You brought up the French toast. Is we have a new chicken and waffles dish. But we use our popcorn chicken, instead of kind of the classic bone-in chicken breast. I find that makes it a lot easier to eat personally.
All right.
And we, smother it with this hot honey maple syrup, which is just unbelievable. I had brunch at Old Town Poorhouse on Sunday and got to eat that, and it lives up to the hype.
On for your brunch, and I know like last Sunday was Mother's Day, but on a normal Sunday, do you need reservations for this?
You can make
All right.
reservations. That's probably the best way to do it to ensure that you get a spot. I made a reservation, and it went really smoothly. So would
You
recommend.
don't have any pull? You had to make a reservation yourself?
I'm just, a lot of my job is trying to make things easy on the restaurant, and that includes making a reservation when I want to come in.
Besides the beer school, do you have any other type of events like this? I noticed on the website that you can rent that out for meetings, parties, things of that nature.
Absolutely. All of our restaurants do have space that you can rent out for personal or private events. Businesses will rent it out, and individuals can do parties. We also are doing, features for American Craft Beer Week, where we've got a locally inspired dish in every market paired with a local beer. For Pride Month, we're partnering with New Belgium and their Brewed for All initiative. So we're donating $2 for every New Belgium beer sold to GLAD, which is an organization that ensures fair, accurate, and inclusive representation that rewrites the script for LGBTQ acceptance. At Old Town Poorhouse, Chicago, we host trivia every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And there are themed trivias once a month. And then, as we already talked about, there's rock and roll brunch every weekend. I think on the weekend of the 27th, we're going to be launching mimosa towers for our rock and roll brunch. So for groups that are looking for large format mimosas, I know that's popular. We've been testing them. So we have that coming. And we're going to start doing a DJ at Old Town Poorhouse for brunch as well. So we're looking to kind of pick up the energy a little bit at our Old Town Poorhouse Chicago brunch.
I'll definitely have to pop in one Sunday this summer and check that out.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have other locations of Old Town. There's obviously the city one, but there's also a location in Oak Brook, Naperville, as well as Maryland. Are there differences between the four, or is it just the same concept, just maybe slightly different beer list?
It's largely the same concept with slightly different beer lists. And that's true for our CityWorks brand as well. We have CityWorks in Schaumburg and Wheeling and Vernon Hills. And then, of course, Pittsburgh and King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and Disney Springs and Frisco and Fort Worth, Texas, and Watertown, Mass. So there's a lot of places in the country you can come in and get that rock and roll brunch and taste 30 plus local craft beers.
Of the other locations of, like, just say the Poorhouse, are you planning on doing like a beer school type event or something similar at one of those too?
Yeah, this beer school, we're really looking at it as something that could be a launching pad to go to our other locations. So if this goes well, we've created, some good bones for this event, and we're hoping it's something that our other restaurants could kind of pick up and execute all over the country, and especially at, in Naperville and Oak Brook.
On the website, this is limited to 50 guests per class.
That is correct.
Okay. So if you're looking to do this, well, there's only 48 left for the May 31st. I think I was looking, the first one is sold out. So I'm going to include a link in the show notes for the Eventbrite link. So you could definitely click on that. But I would get tickets as soon as possible before the rest of them sell out.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if the first one is sold out for sure, but we were getting close and getting close for all of them. So if you're looking to come, hop on it.
Yeah, like I said, I'll include the link in the show notes. I bought tickets for the 31st, I think Saturday night, and I thought I saw the first one sold out, but no, I'm looking forward to going to the 31st. Now, you're the director of Beverage. What kind of trends do you see happening in the beer or, beverage industry? Is there anything that kind of surprising you, or, what do you see happening down the road in the next year or so?
So I think one big trend, to talk beverage overall, this includes beer. There's a trend in health consciousness. I think, coming out of the pandemic, people were taking a look internally to see, what is it that we're doing here? And so, you see more low ABV beers, sessionable beers, doing really well. I know when I personally go out, if I see a Metropolitan Crankshaft Kolsch or a Dovetail Vienna Lager, I can drink that and not feel like I'm weighed down, not feel like I'm getting drunk. I mean, I'm getting old, so I can drink less and less. And so lowering that ABV helps me stay in the game. And, along those same lines, we're seeing a lot of non-alcoholic beer pop up. At all of our locations, we sell Athletic Brewing Company. They make some great NA beers. We have Run Wild IPA and Upside Down Golden Ale. That's my personal favorite. Those beers are great for people who are sober, but I think we're finding more people that do also drink turning towards non-alcoholic, whether you're just spacing drinks out or you're the designated driver or you're, going to be out all day with your friends and you just want to hang out for longer. Those are good options. And you see that on the cocktail side as well. We added mocktails to our cocktail menu last year. They've been going great. Sales are up. I would call it a pleasant surprise. But they're definitely here to stay. So, I mean, that's a big trend. And then on just the beer side, I'm seeing a ton of prominent breweries turning their flagship beer into its own brand. So you see that with, New Belgium and their Voodoo series. We have Juicy Haze on tap. They have a double IPA available all the time. Juice Force is out. And then they also have a seasonal line of the Voodoos. 1985 is coming out in June. So, that's big. And, even more locally, Three Floyd's Zombie Dust has always been a giant in our city, but now they have Zombie Ice. They've got a double Zombie Dust, basically. Bell's Two Hearted. Now they do Cold Hearted and Light Hearted and Black Hearted. And so, I think breweries are seeing that people like to go back to what they're comfortable with. And that may be a brand. And if they can kind of give you a little bit of variety within that comfort, they're finding success in that.
Yeah. Even like Sierra with their hazy little thing. Now it seems like one whole shelf is all the variants that they have of that as well.
Definitely. I like I think it's called Sour Little Thing or Tart Little Thing.
Yeah.
Sorry to Sierra Nevada. I didn't know immediately, but it's a good beer, so people should try it.
You were talking a few minutes ago about the non-alcoholic beers. Are those available on draft, or is it just like cans or bottles for those?
We have cans for those. Okay. I know some breweries have been thinking about kegging their NA beers, and some may be doing that right now, but right now we're just doing cans. I do think that down the line that will become more and more popular. We have a hard seltzer on tap, so
okay, cool.
I know that there's space for non-traditional draft items for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an NA beer on tap somewhere, and I'm interested to try it and see. I like draft beer better than something out of a can, so I'd like to see the difference if that even improves some of the NA beers.
Absolutely. I think the more that consumers continue to purchase and show support for NA beers, the more it'll make sense for the breweries to start thinking about kegging them.
Exactly. Well, Doug, I really appreciate you coming on. Once again, Old Town Poorhouse. It's 1419 North Wells. In addition to other ones, I'll include the link in the show notes, but you should definitely check out the Brew U Beer School. And if you're going on the 31st, say hi to me because I'll be there with my wife, Ruby. Oh, Doug, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this. This is a really cool school. I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. It was an honor.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Take care.
Once upon a time.
Boring.
It was the best of times. It was the worst.
You got that right.
What's your problem?
We want new stories.
Hi, it's Frankie.
And Garrett. And we host the EverTrending Story, a weekly podcast where we bring to life a fictional story created by our own minds and some of the hottest, craziest trends from the internet.
Find us wherever you download podcasts, and be sure to join the fun on social media at EverTrendingPod.
Be sure to catch the latest from EverTrending Story wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, the beer in front of me today is the newest gold medal winner of the American Style Amber Lager category of the World Beer Cup. This is from Noon Whistle. This is called Bruski. This is a traditional lager, checks in at 4.6%, and I'm looking forward to it. According to their website, Bruski is a beautifully copper-colored traditional lager. The malt makes this beer slightly sweet with toasted bready aromas and flavors that are balanced with Saaz hops. This is a year-round offering from Noon Whistle, so let's crack it open. That's a gold medal winning can open sound right there. Really nice color here. Beautiful amber color. This is a lot of foam here. I'd say a good 3 fingers of eggshell white foam. Yeah, the aroma's good. It does smell slightly bready. Oh, that's terrific. Wonderful flavors here. Good balance of the hops to the malt. I get some sweetness when I taste it with a little of the hops at the end. This is really good. Yeah. If you're a fan of lagers, traditional style lagers, I would definitely throw this in the cart from Noon Whistle. Bruski is a winner. I'm really digging this. I got to pour some more. If I had to nitpick, I would say it's a little too carbonated, but that could just be the can itself. I would definitely not rate this down because of it. I think it's that good. Yeah, that's just a terrific beer. Something I think you could crush at 4.6%. You could have more of these on a nice day sitting outside on the barbecue. You could have a couple of brewskis, and I think you're going to be in good shape. If you're in the Illinois area and you could pick this up, I would definitely grab Bruski from Noon Whistle. I rated this high on the beer in front scale of 1 to 10. I gave it an 8.9 when I scored everything. This is terrific, so definitely grab yourself a Bruski. This week I was chatting with Barry Hummel, who is one half, along with Abigail, of the great Pops on Hops podcast. Barry is grabbing some South Florida beer, getting that out to me. I'll be sending him some Chicago area stuff out for him and Abigail soon, and we're going to join forces in the next month or so for an episode on each podcast. Pops on Hops talks about great albums with beer. I mentioned Smithereens 11, so look for that soon. The Smithereens are probably the band I've seen the most, and their classic power pop style still sounds fresh today. I've been listening to a lot of Smithereens the past few days after talking with Barry over on Twitter. I'll include a link in the show notes if you want to have a listen yourself. All right, that's going to wrap things up for the May 17th edition of Beer in Front. I thank you for listening. I want to thank Doug Wise over at Bottleneck Management to come on the show and talk about the Brew U Beer School. You can get the details in the show notes. I'll talk to everyone next week on the show. Have a great week. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.